live. We have a lot of people on here. I just welcome everybody. It is Friday. It's a crazy week. I mean, we're living through a crazy time. It's history every day. You wake up and history is being made. And today we have somebody incredible, somebody I'm really proud and happy to have on our show, the great Katie Phang. She is one of a true journalists out there. When she was on MSNBC, she brought it. She brought the truth. She covered the stories the way they should have been. And now she's here on Substack, which, I'm so Substack, YouTube, the Midas family. I mean, everywhere you look, Katie's everywhere. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because this is what true independent journalism that we always speak about here. True independent, because Katie, like we just were talking about right now, you about the mergers, and I'll let you go into some of that stuff in a second. But there is right now one of the ways that the Trump cult, the Trump, I don't want to call it organization, but the Trump, with the Stephen Millers and the Russell, the brainwashing is to do away with our First Amendment, do away with free press, do away with the media, because that once people stop, because I even remember myself, how I got indoctrinated into the cult is because when you're in echo chamber 24 hours a day where you could only hear and see one thing, the brain is a very powerful tool and it stops, letting you get opposite sides of objective study, and you start believing, and it becomes a one way, like the blinder system. So anyway, welcome to Levremembers, and we have a lot to talk about. So go ahead, Katie, tell us a little bit about what's going on, what's happening. Give us some breaking news.
Yeah. So, Lev, I actually want to go back a second to what you just said. It was not a misstatement to call it the Trump organization. Let's be honest. It may be a presidential administration, but the way that Trump is running it is as if it's his own personal fiefdom, kingdom, business organization. He's not doing it for the American people. He's doing it for the grift and his ability to be able to make more money for himself. And that dovetails exactly with what I was just telling you before we went live, that in this insane news cycle, something that just got announced yesterday was the $8 billion merger between Paramount Global and Skydance Media. And we all know that kind of the sticking point was that lawsuit that had been brought by Donald Trump in his personal capacity. He had claimed $20 billion in damages. He sued CBS News for what he called a manipulated, deceptively edited campaign interview of Kamala Harris last year in 2024. And instead of continuing to fight that lawsuit, CBS capitulated, bent the knee, and paid Donald Trump $16 million, ostensibly to go to his presidential library. And I had a chance to speak with Senator Elizabeth Warren just this morning. The video will drop on my YouTube channel shortly. But we were talking about how important it is to fight the corruption and the grift any which way you can, but how important independent media is now becoming. The fact that we're looking at something like CBS now literally being a part of Skydance, and as a part of that merger, Skydance Paramount had to agree that they would make sure that there is zero DEI at those companies, that they would completely offer, quote, diversity of viewpoints. But you and I both know, Lev, that as you spoke of so eloquently, that echo chamber is the goal. The propaganda tools are the goal. And in this instance, I never thought in my lifetime, Lev, that I would be having a conversation where we talk about something like CBS now basically being under the thumb of somebody like Donald Trump.
I mean, I literally have goosebumps because I mean, it really is, and it's working because there's a lot of people out there. It's still the transformation is happening because if in all reality you have a couple 100,000, I have almost 100,000, but we should have millions of subscribers, millions and millions, because the outreach. Even though we're in an incredible community in Substack, we love you guys. Do your job, hit the hearts, smash that little box, and spread the message far and wide. Subscribe to Katie because, the most important thing that we talk about is independent journalism. Getting the news out. I'm not an independent journalist. I never had to be. I'm out here trying to tell you guys from the inside out. I lived it. I was one of these people. Like people like Katie, people like my son Aaron, the Midas Touch, they are what it is today, not CBS, ABC, or any other, because they folded. So this is the new reality, and that's why we need you to do your job. Be our megaphone, be our, extension of our voices. Go out there and spread the news far and wide so we're able to reach because 2026 is right around the corner, and this is where we say all the time, Katie. It's like I feel like a broken record. This election is the most important one. This, for folks, I'm going to tell you. I mean, from somebody that this is not even. I mean, I'm hoping that we even have a chance to have a fair election because of what Project 2020, Russell Vogt, and Stephen Miller, they're doing behind the scenes that I know Katie does a lot of reporting on. But definitely, I wanted to ask you, Katie. I know you've done a lot of reporting, and I think right now everybody's curious to see. And I've been talking about, and my sources have been talking about my relationship with Blanche. Right now, I think there's another meeting going on.
There's another meeting.
There's
I
another
mean,
meeting.
this is wild. So now we have the Deputy Attorney General of the United States representing the Department of Justice sitting down with Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted felon who was serving a 20-year prison sentence. And he went back for day 2 of meeting with her. And what's crazy, Lev, is that, and I want to go back to this because I keep on talking about it day
Please,
in, day out.
please, yes.
Just this past Friday, when questioned by the Wall Street Journal, both Blanche and Bondi said that their, quote, exhaustive review of the Epstein files led them to conclude that there was no further investigation or prosecution left to be had. If that is the case, why in the actual hell is he sitting down with Ghislaine Maxwell than the obvious, which is to make sure that he can figure out what are the parameters of a possible pardon or commutation, what are the parameters of the information she's willing to provide that will not implicate Donald Trump, that will downplay his involvement in anything involving Jeffrey Epstein and her, and then how to amplify something about a Democrat, right? I mean, the idea is Trump has to figure out a way, as you know, to satiate his base and to basically let his base know that it is okay that we are turning over some information. But remember, Trump said it had to be, quote, credible. And who the hell is the gatekeeper of what's credible in Trump land? Certainly not Pam Bondi, certainly not Todd Blanche or Donald Trump. And so Blanche claims that he's going to, quote, let us know what they talked about. But you and I both know it's not being recorded. It's not being transcribed. And Lev, the way that this is going to be sent out is just going to be such a bastardization of the truth. It's not even funny.
And I laugh because it's so crazy because I can't believe that we're even talking about it. You're 100%. It's not fun because it really is. I mean, you have the second man and second person in charge of the United States. I mean, the Assistant Attorney General going out there. You have Maxwell being taken out of prison, which is another. I mean, taken to a different facility to get questioned.
At the
With
U.S.
who?
Attorney's Office.
With
She doesn't even have to be questioned in prison.
not
Yeah,
even in prison, with a box, full of what's in that box. Like, what's all those documents? What's all that? But I'm going to tell you something since, we break the news all the time. I'm going to give a little tidbit, what I'm hearing from my sources, that
please.
Todd Blanche has already spoken to Donald Trump, and there's already the what's it called? The narrative is already formulating. And today, Donald Trump made a little, he can't keep it in his pants. He tries to talk it, and he said already where they're going to be heading, and where you're going to see the announcement are going to be Democrat hedge fund financial guys that are close to Epstein and Bill Clinton. That's where, and he said it today out loud today in the press conference when they said to him, "Don't concentrate on me. I'm going to be clear." He goes, if today, as he was getting on the plane, he was on his trip, he was out, he goes, "I'm going to be clear, concentrate on Bill Clinton and all those hedge fund guys that are with him all the time." So the narrative is already been formed, and right now it's being fine tuned. And because also what nobody's talking about is the relationship that Blanche has with Marcus.
Yeah, with David. Yeah, with
And
David
it's
Marcus. Yeah.
and usually you wouldn't say anything because a lot of lawyers have relationships with a lot of lawyers, but this is a little bit different. First of all, about of how close they are that my sources are, but not only that is the way David Marcus is responding, and or like the conversation. I mean, he's basically like yesterday turned around and said. Maxwell spoke about everything. She answered every question. They That's another thing I want to say. Katie, does that now did she give up her Fifth Amendment right? because now she's being right now by literally speaking and talking to Todd Blanche about everything, like her attorney said. And now, if she gets subpoenaed into Congress, can she insert the Fifth Amendment right after she? How does that work? Like, I mean, like, is that?
No, it's a great question. Okay, so we're gonna go to law school now. So here's the deal. So this is an unusual timing situation, Lev, because as we know, she went to trial. She was in trial in a jury trial with a jury of her peers, and she was found guilty and she was sentenced, right? She has been disputing and fighting her convictions and sentence. She took it up on appeal. Her convictions and sentence were affirmed, and then she's now waiting to see if the United States Supreme Court is willing to take up her appeal. I will say this about David, because David Marcus is actually a good friend of mine. This is her criminal defense lawyer. David is being an advocate for Ghislaine Maxwell, right? He is being an advocate for his client, and as her appellate lawyer specifically, he has tried to identify issues that created grounds for an appeal from her trial. So, like most lawyers, as we know, like if you're an advocate, you're going to say that your client, according to him, right, spoke truthfully, et cetera, et cetera. But as you just noted, though, this woman has every incentive to lie, which is why somebody like Congressman Robert Garcia, when I interviewed him yesterday, he made sure that they got that subpoena approved from House Oversight to go to the Department of Justice for all of the files. Because trust but verify. I mean, I wouldn't even trust what Ghislaine Maxwell says, but we need to verify and corroborate what this woman has to say because, of course, she wants to get out of federal prison. I wouldn't want to be in federal prison either. If I saw a door opening, I would ram a Mack truck through it, and I would do what I needed to do to get the hell out of prison. So in this instance, as it normally works as a former prosecutor, we would basically offer what we call a queen for a day letter, right? This idea that you could sit down and you basically could speak, answer questions, the condition being truthfully, but you could answer questions that are asked of you, and whatever you basically say wouldn't be used against you. In this instance, Lev, it's the perfect layup, is it not? If I ask you, were you involved in this? You're going to say what? Oh, no, I wasn't, but Bill Clinton was. I mean, my point is, it's actually consistent with her defense since the beginning. She claims that she's been the victim of Epstein and others, and that she was actually manipulated. And so, in terms of inconsistent statements, Ghislaine Maxwell's not going to be giving them, Lev. She's not going to be giving inconsistent statements. She's just going to say everything consistent with I am innocent. I didn't do anything wrong. It's the whipped cream. It's the cherry on the sundae that we all need to be worried about, which is how is she going to embellish her defense in a way that makes what she's offering to the DOJ so palatable. Let's rewind for just a second too before I stop. There has been a Trump DOJ that dealt with Epstein back before he died, and a Trump/Biden DOJ that dealt with Maxwell. There were some conversations, but none that were palatable to either Maxwell or Epstein about cooperation. They had enough evidence to get them indicted, and they certainly had enough evidence to take them both to trial, and Epstein's suspicious death obviously stopped that from happening. But when you have that kind of evidence and you're a prosecutor, you don't necessarily need cooperation from a criminal defendant, as you know, right? And so for somebody like Maxwell, who the federal government properly deemed to be just as dirty and just as culpable as Jeffrey Epstein, because let's not sugarcoat this shit. Yes. She was the facilitator. She was the groomer. She was also an active abuser. So her hands are just as dirty as Jeffrey Epstein. Yes. They didn't need her to get to a higher fish in the food chain. They had her dead to rights. And so what kind of conversation would any Department of Justice need to have with either one of these assholes? They didn't have to have a conversation with them. They had them. And so the fact that Todd Blanche thinks that there's going to be some freaking, amazing moment in time with some huge whodunit being solved by Ghislaine Maxwell sitting there talking to them at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee is a load of shit.
Oh, no. I mean, people, if you don't subscribe right now to Katie Phang, because not only is she an independent journalist, but I mean, she is an ex-prosecutor, and the information that you're getting, you're not getting anywhere else. I mean, you said it incredibly. And I just want to add to what you said about Todd Blanche. I want to take you back a little bit. Todd Blanche was part of my legal team. Some of my subscribers already know, some of the people that are just joining might not know that I know Todd Blanche very well. And Todd Blanche is not there to get to the truth. And what Katie was talking about, what prosecutors do, what, Queen for a Day, I've done it all. I was part of that. I was on that side of the field. I've been Queen for a Day. I've done my proffers. I know how the system works. There's people there. There's note taking. There's reasons to do it. But this was not about getting to the truth. This is not about getting to the information. This is about covering up the truth. This is about painting a story. And Todd Blanche has been working for Donald Trump way before he actually started working for Donald Trump. It goes back to when he joined the Paul Manafort team and started working for Paul Manafort. At that point, Todd Blanche sold his soul. And he did a good job for Manafort. He actually got him off
He
on a double
did.
jeopardy, on that
He did.
double jeopardy. And that's how he came into my life, because at around that same time as he was handling the Paul Manafort case, I get arrested with my co-defendant Igor Fruman. And right away, who are we given? We are given Dowd, was a Trump attorney, and Kevin Downing, who was another Manafort attorney, to represent us in Alexandria, Virginia. But my case was out of the Southern District of New York, so we need New York attorneys. And here comes Mr. Blanche and his team that were going to represent me and my partner Igor. Well, I turned in prison because of those of you that know the postcard from Rudy Giuliani and
Yep.
everything else, and the strain from my family, and having my great attorney Joe Bondi that I knew for many years that I could trust at the time to represent me. I told them all to go screw themselves, and I'll never forget that conference call we had with Todd Blanche on the speakerphone. When I told him to go to hell, when he was telling me that I need to keep quiet. We're going to formulate. Everything's going to be taken care of. Rudy calling me out, telling me, listen to Blanche and the team, and then Trump will take care of the pardons on the back end. I mean, all that thing we were going through it. And I said to Blanche, and I said to Igor, I'll never forget. I said, if you come here to this office with Todd Blanche, I said, me and you are no longer have no co-defense. We're not sharing anything. We're done, because I'm here to tell the truth, and Blanche is here to bury it. After that day, went from my friend to my adversary,
Mm.
and he did everything he could from not defending his rights for his client Igor, because in reality we had the same problem. We should be on the same team. We were both indicted of the same charges, but he would go against me every interview that I did. He would try to give a narrative that would benefit Donald Trump and make me out to be a liar. But he did something very even more facetious, and this is where he showed his true colors, Katie. We were both, me and Igor, we were both subpoenaed by the House impeachment committee in the first impeachment of Donald Trump. And when I decided to turn over all evidence, I went to court because Attorney General Barr sealed. Part of the deal was they had the judge seal all of it under national security, all of my documents, because they want to bury the truth. So we went to court to get the documents released to be able to hand it over to the impeachment committee. And guess who jumps into the fight? Not even the government. Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche jumps in on behalf of my co-defendant, which would make no sense, but it was really on behalf of Donald Trump, and goes to bat to basically fight to have the documents sealed and for me not to be able to turn over the documents to the impeachment. But we kicked his ass. We won. We were able to, and that's why out of the 300 impeachment articles, 100 of them are mine that we were able to go over, and we did. So Todd Blanche showed his colors then. He's been doing this for a while. He's in there, right? I know him well. I could right now envision him sitting there and how he's talking to Maxwell. I could envision the questions he's saying and how he's leading her into what needs to be said and how he's formulating. I mean, and that's what Donald Trump said today. He's a mass. Todd Blanche is a good. Oh yeah, he was a ex former Southern District of New York prosecutor. He worked for a big law. Todd Blanche is not a super guy. He's not a great, I would say, maybe trial lawyer.
I was going to say he's not a good trial lawyer. He is
Right.
not.
He's not a trial, but that was not his specialty. His specialty is, manipulating. Go ahead, please, Katie. Go jump in.
Yeah. So, Lev, the only thing I would add is this: it's a big tell that to your really well taken point that it's Todd Blanche that's doing this, that it's
Okay,
not
fine.
Pam Bondi, and that it's not Emil Bovey. Because Bovey already has his own drama, and they're not going to have him jeopardize his Third Circuit Court of Appeals nomination right now by sending Bovey to meet with a convicted pedophile, right? Not going to do that to Emil Bovey, not going to create even more drama for him. And as for Pam Bondi, she has not been battle tested. Pam Bondi was a part of the election denier legal team, and she ran around screaming that the election was stolen back in 2020. But she is not battle tested to the same tune as Todd Blanche. For something this, I think, politically and legally damaging, you have to get somebody who is a true Roy Cohn-esque kind of person. And we saw what happened to Michael Cohen, for example. When people like you, Michael Cohen, and others say, I'm done living in this world. I am done being a part of this corrupt ecosystem. I have to get the hell out. What ends up happening, right, is that we end up seeing that when you're struggling to get to the truth, not because you don't have the right compass to get there, they're throwing out obstacles for you. They are trying to actively keep people like you and Michael Cohen and others. And part of what they do is they trump up charges, or they sit there and make accusations, or they try to, create all of these roadblocks from you being able to give the truth, which is why we have to say, and again, I say politics makes such strange bedfellows. But Lev, when we see some Republicans stepping up and demanding the transparency that we've been demanding for a long time, we have to say thanks for doing it, right? Because it doesn't make a difference if it's a Republican or a Democrat that's implicated in these files. It has to come out. I am bothered the most, Lev, that now the burden has fallen back on the victims and the survivors of Epstein, Maxwell, and others, that they are now having to go through this again. The re-traumatization of these poor people drives me crazy, because as a former prosecutor, this is not what they signed up for. They did not sign up for their lives to be politicized in this way. And so I think it's just so important to let people decide on their own. But once you do that, it's because you've seen everything there is to see.
I agree with you 100%. That's the one thing that I always talk about is the victims' voices. It's this there we can't forget that there actually are victims. There are kids, there are women, there are men, there are boys. There's so many people, from sexual to psychological to all kinds of ways that these cruel happen, and so we can't forget that. And I agree with you, Katie, and that's why when I talk about it, a lot of people use these informations, try to run with it like as shows and stuff. This is not a show. We're not talking about it because we're trying to glamorize or anything or try and get clicks. We're here to get you guys information, and some of it is nasty, and some of it is not pleasant, and some of it, but it's stuff that you need to be aware of and you need to be a part of. But 100%, I agree with you, Katie, and we need to make sure to know it, because right now it's replaying over and over again. And really the upsetting part, what really gets me, because I'm a father of seven.
Mm.
My family, to me that means more than everything. And the way now the story, because with Trump, everything is about changing the story, rewriting history, trying to paint it just like he's trying to do with the election with 2020, just like he's trying to do with, that he is, say, made peace in the Middle East. And, he said, I mean, everything with Trump is rewriting and lying and rewriting and making it seem that it's him and everybody else. Same thing I'm worried about here, that they don't take this story that, and try to rewrite it and use it, and because who's the only people that are going to get hurt again are the victims, are the people that were involved, and that's what really worries me.
Yeah, and the rewriting of history is totally on brand for Trump, and it's his total perversion of the facts. it is an uncontroverted reality that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and others did what they did. It is uncontroverted. The only thing that the Democrats are trying to do is basically hold Trump slash the Republicans in some way, but definitely Trump, to his own campaign promise that he would release the Epstein files. And nobody wants an expose on the victims and survivors. Everybody agrees that proper redactions need to be done. But this idea of trying to hide the sins and the crimes of some of the most powerful people in the world, that doesn't fly in a democracy, and it doesn't fly in America. And so, you cannot be surprised that this is now the MO from Trump, especially when he sits in a seat of power like the Oval Office. But it is totally incumbent upon us to have these conversations, Lev, because we need to make sure that we highlight the hypocrisy and that we also push to the front of the line the truth about what's happening, which is why, again, this day 2 sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell by the Deputy Attorney General of the United States should disgust you no matter what your party affiliation is. We do not give convicted pedophiles this type of grace. We do not. And if this woman had shit to say, you don't think she would have said it already? Spare me. I think it is such a gaslighting move for them to sit there and think that Americans are dumb enough to believe that this woman suddenly found Jesus and is going to sit there and spill her guts.
Well, I mean, and I know you have to go, but before you go, just like right about what you're saying right now, just as a former prosecutor, tell the people the difference because they maybe don't understand that before, if she would have had to spill the guts, she would have had to get a cooperation or any kind of deal. She would have to say everything. She'd have to admit to all the guilt, everything that to possibly, and they would have to get verified. And it's a very sort of, trust me, when I went through it, not now. Now it's a different story. Now she just has to say what they want to hear. She doesn't have to talk about it. She doesn't have to. And the other thing is that really disgusts me that the far right, Katie, the far right already Newsmax is already talking about, how they're mentioning her as a victim. They're already mentioning Maxwell, just like you said it. I just literally took a look, because some of my notes, they're already mentioning her as a victim on Newsmax, saying that she was a victim coming out already from yesterday's meeting with Blanche. So, I know you have to go. You have a lot going on. The floor is yours, Katie. Take it away.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If Ghislaine Maxwell had something of value, we would have known about it either as the prosecutors or as Americans years ago. She was indicted back in 2019, 2020. But also, let's hit the rewind button, you and I. We're from Florida, Lev. We also know that this case's genesis was in Florida. And it resulted not in a federal grand jury presentation, because that was an Alex Acosta special, the Secretary of Labor under the first Trump administration. But we know it ended up being a state negotiated plea deal about which the victims were given no notice and no buy-in and no say. And that is the sweetheart deal that was done for Jeffrey Epstein years ago. And the reason why I bring that up is Ghislaine Maxwell has had a long runway with the opportunities to come to Jesus about the truth. Okay. And the fact that suddenly in 2025, as her appeal is pending to the United States Supreme Court, as Trump is sitting in a position where he could pardon her or give her a commutation, now suddenly she has this chance to be able to talk about it. It is, like I said, it's an insult to any American to think that this woman is going to be suddenly having this conscious crisis of conscience. Let me tell you something, Lev. Her claim as to why she should have her convictions and sentence overturned is because she thinks that she should have been honored as a part of a non-prosecution agreement that was entered.
That's right.
It's not like she's saying, I didn't do anything wrong. Right. It's a non-prosecution agreement. That's the reason why I shouldn't be prosecuted. And I'm like, whoa. Like, wouldn't you be like screaming from the rafters? I didn't do anything wrong. Her thing is it's a procedural issue, and I should not have been removed from the enforcement of a non-prosecution agreement. So, Lev, again, these conversations are so critically important because when you live in the details and the nuances of this, you understand exactly what is at stake.
Katie Phang, I just want to thank you for everything you do on behalf of me, my family. We love you, and all for my subscribers. Make sure subscribe because Katie, every day she breaks something new. She has all the news, and she's here in our Substack family. We love you. Thank you, Katie. And maybe next week, or if once we get more clarity on what's happening with the second meeting and everything, and once it comes out that everything me and you spoke about today plays out, maybe we'll do another Substack and break it all down again next week. But we'd love to have you here in our family at Levremembers.
Yeah, and thank you, Lev, always. Not only do I love our Substack community, but just for everybody to know, I've had a very just a truly wonderful relationship with the Parnas family for a long time, and I feel very invested in the Parnas family, and so I'm always it's always a privilege for me to be able to spend time with any of them, including Aaron. So anyway, it's good to see you. Thanks, everybody.
Katie, have a great day. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Hey guys, uh, make sure go subscribe. Katie is a true independent journalism. We love her. And when I go out there and I talk about, she is one of the great ones. She was always great on MSNBC. She was one of the true ones that people tune in to listen. She always broke the stories from. Just remember going back to all the stuff that we don't even talk about today about how they were all prosecuted in Georgia. Katie was on the ground. I mean, going back. So anyway, she really knows the players, like she said, here in Florida, especially with what's going on right now. So make sure to subscribe to Katie Fang. And for us guys, we have a full day. Later on today at 4 o'clock, we are going to be going live with Jim Acosta. I think it's around 4:15. We're going to discuss a lot of stuff that are Trump's game plan, what his next steps are. You heard it today. Some of my sources are already telling me they've already are starting to paint the narrative. I'm going to go make some calls to figure out where this is heading. Blanche is meeting with Maxwell right now again. They're continue. This is day two. You heard it from Katie. This is abnormal. This does not happen. Stuff like this does not happen. This is the second man in charge of the Attorney General of the United States meeting with a convicted felon. She's being taken out of prison. She's walking around with a big box. What's in that box? We all understand. I understand. Katie understands. For all of you that have been subscribing, you too understand. For those of you that joined, you will understand because this is all part of optics. Donald Trump, it's all coordinated. The real truth is behind the scenes, and that's why I tell you here at Lev Remembers, always keep your eye on the ball. Always keep your eye on the ball. And also later on, I don't know, depending on time, because it's a full day, because after Acosta, we have at 5 o'clock, I'm going out with Rick Wilson, another great from the Lincoln Project. Rick Wilson brings the heat. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, connecting the dots, the way where the money flow is going when it comes to Epstein, and also maybe a little Giuliani time. So you definitely a big day today as far as things go. And I'm going to try to squeeze in somewhere in the middle, story time with Lev, because I know we haven't done it this week, but a lot of breaking news, a lot of stuff. But if I can, I will. So for those of you that haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to go subscribe. For those of you that can't, please become paid subscribers. If you can't contribute to our Venmo at Lev-Parnas, definitely make sure to pick up your book of Shadow Diplomacy. You can pick that up at levremembers.com. It's our website, and on there's also T-shirts and for Voice from Ukraine and others where part of that money goes to support Ukraine. A part of it goes to help keep this platform alive and for me to be able to keep growing and fighting, because Donald Trump does not like anybody, leaking his stuff. And trust me, I tell you, I'm on the top three of his radar. He just doesn't, want to really get into it, and that's why it's the only thing saving. Because Lev, remember, I have a lot of receipts, so so stay tuned. Anyway, stay tuned. Lots more for today. Thank you all, and God bless you. Have a great day. Take care.